At the Asian Logistics and Maritime Conference 2011 in Hong Kong, many of the leading names in these enablers of trade were considering the prevailing economic conditions and looking at ways to keep that business moving. And none is more experienced in the vagaries of economic cycles than Jim Thompson. Jim, thanks indeed for joining us. And really, your company, Crown Worldwide, has been at the center of different ups and downs of the markets. How do you see the future, though, bearing in mind the economic downturn that we have at the moment?
Well, you know, you're absolutely right. I have seen cycles in the 40 plus years that I've been here, and they all have a different feature, but they're all basically the same at the end of the day. And this one, I think, because it's the two major economies of the world, the North American economy and the European economy, it's a little worrisome for the export side, but I think in reality there will be some adjustment to that within China, within Asia, for example. And indeed, this is the best place to be because, in my view, I think that the downturn will be less impact here than there will in the other parts of the world. And particularly here in Hong Kong, we're incredibly adaptable. So when we face downturns, we react accordingly. We may have to get more efficient or do other things, but we don't just lie over and say we're going to let our businesses go bankrupt. We actually adjust and maybe make a bit less profit. But other than that, I think it'll be fine. We'll come out of this fine. It may take a year or so, but we'll be okay.
So you opened your company, Crown Worldwide, here in Hong Kong back in the 1970s. So in a sense, this has been the distribution center for your company. But how do you see the idea of Hong Kong being a regional distribution center?
I'm so optimistic, and I tell you, this is a very interesting thing. There's a partnership in an essence between the people of Hong Kong and the people in the logistics industry particularly, the government who has to do the big projects, you know, like dredging the channel and building a third runway and building a bridge to Zhuhai. That has to be done with government money. But the people and the companies, you know, that are doing it, I think that they're very adaptable, so they will actually do extremely well in the end. I've always made the argument that people in Hong Kong have sort of logistics in their DNA, so to speak. We've always been a place that's imported and exported things, and so we know this transport aspect very, very well.
So where do we go from here? After the hardware, do we get more software?
Well, it's very much about software, whether you call it technology. But I think one of the things that will happen between the southern part of China and Hong Kong, and in fact it's been happening for the last decade or more, is that the border, while we want the border to be retained, it will soften a little bit. More and more activities will be shared between southern China and Hong Kong, and we'll use our strengths in both cases, whether it's less expensive labor in some cases or just more land in some cases. We'll use those strengths to continue to make the broader Hong Kong, I guess you'd call it, a tremendous logistics area.
And talking about the hardware, we have the Zhuhai-Macau Bridge and the fast rail track to Guangzhou. This is all going to be useful, isn't it, in Hong Kong as a regional distribution center?
It will indeed, because for Hong Kong it will be important because so much of the activity will be further inland than just across the border in Shenzhen. And this will be, there's highways connected to this, and this will be a link that can have factories that are producing materials of all sorts that they can shoot into Hong Kong harbor. So I think the bridge will make a big difference for us, and I'll be happy to see it completed because it gives us a greater part of China that we can serve, and both for imports and exports. So I think it's going to be good. I don't know much about the rail link, to be honest with you, but I do know that China's broader plan is to build a very strong infrastructure, both rail and road, and it may slow down in the next couple of years for practical reasons, but someday they're going to be extremely well connected and it's going to be great for Hong Kong.
Jim, you attended the Asian Logistics and Maritime Conference, so what's your impression of it?
Well, I think it's been a booming success from everyone's point of view. I understand there's 650 registrants or some number like that, and for a first-time conference, it's been excellent. I spoke at one of the panels today, and there were not enough seats in the room. It was a big room, so obviously the interest in the subject of logistics, not only from the operator's point of view, and it could be shipping, airlines, or land transport, but also I noticed there were a number of shippers there, that people wanted to learn more about supply chain activities and logistics. So I think the TDC has hit the nail on the head with this idea. It's certainly one of the pillar industries of Hong Kong. The whole logistics industry employs a lot of people, and to have people come up and discuss issues and problems, great. And I think it's fantastic.